Here too. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's another amazing episode of your favorite podcast. Y'all know that it's Keepin It Rio. This is 247, and I am beyond ecstatic for today's guest because it's been a long time in the making for me. I didn't know that I'd ever be able to get this opportunity, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. So I got to do this one time 2.5 years ago. I'm going to do it one time here real quick before we kick it off. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Keepin It Rio, our guest, serial entrepreneur, mentor, successful businessman, family man, goat dad. This guy has got it all going on. The most successful entrepreneur we've had on this show in the first 247, and I am stoked to learn about all of it. Todd Price, my friend, welcome to Keepin It Rio. Thanks for being here.
Hey, brother, I am excited to be here. I'm excited to talk to you, catch up, and it's been a while since I've seen you in person. I think last time was when we were speaking at down in what was it, Fort Lauderdale or Miami or something. We were speaking at the event.
Yep, it was at Fort Lauderdale. It was at Lee Hate's event in 2023, I guess it was. So It's been a minute, and a lot of cool stuff's happened since then. A lot of amazing things, and can't wait to learn about it. So let's just kick this bad boy off. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, so I know full well about your success in business, your success in life, the way that you've been able to help motivate and bring a lot of people up. And the one thing that I always love to start with is we know that you don't just snap your finger and have all this stuff happen. This takes a ton of work, probably more work than I could ever even imagine or that most of the people in the world could ever even fathom. But I love to start back at the beginning. I know that it was kind of a humble beginning for you. Let's talk a little bit about that, the early days and kind of what built you up as a man and what kind of put this, the mindset that you've got for success and the discipline that you've got to be, elite level at pretty much all times. What instilled that in you at an early age?
I think a couple different things. One, I think my parents, and then two, I think the fact that I had kind of derailed at a certain point and became an addict and alcoholic and was homeless and I did all that on my own accord. I didn't have a bad upbringing. I had phenomenal parents, and I'm actually building them a house on my property right now. So, but I had every excuse in the book to be successful, to not ever drink, to not ever live the life that I did. And I chose to when I got into the gym industry, most people realize or believe that the gym industry is just full of all these healthy people. And it is some, but a lot of the people that work in the gym industry is similar to the car industry. I mean, one, it's sales. Two, people are trying to stay, up and alert. So they're on extracurricular activities. And then, when you get through with work and you want to go out and celebrate that you made this many sales or this, and then it's just parties, with you got your muscular guys and your fitness chicks. And that was, it was just, let's go party after every night. So I started in the gym industry when I was like 17, and I was one of the youngest ones straight out of high school doing sales there. And that was like my first career, so to speak. And a lot of the people that I was hanging out with were older and bigger, and they were in their 20s, and I looked up to them and ended up going down some bad paths and kind of derailed. So, but I think a lot of I'm thankful for it at the same time, even though it was rough. I'm thankful for it because one, it taught me how to think outside the box, and two, it taught me, well, I realized that I had an addictive side, and which my dad did too, and he overcame it before I was born, and I think that addiction is really, really something positive and something phenomenal to have if you can focus that addiction into the right place, and that's what created the discipline for me. And so I directed it into bodybuilding. I directed it into business. And then I think the other aspect was that my dad, all growing up, I would help him. He built houses, built custom homes for 47 years. And it's so funny too now, being in the blue collar space, or having been in the blue collar space for so long, and versus when I was growing up with him, it was, yeah, he was working to make money and to provide for us, but at the same time, him and all the people that he worked with and the subs that he used, they took immense pride in their work. And so not only did that discipline come over from the addiction side, but also the standards came over from my dad, which I think is a huge factor that people kind of don't differentiate, because they think discipline is super important, and it is, but they don't realize that there's a standard there too. Like, there's a lot of people that are disciplined to go to the gym every single day, but then they're there for 45 minutes and 30 of those minutes they're on the phone. So it's like, yeah, you're disciplined to go to the gym, but what's your standard while you're there? You know what I mean? So I think having those two aspects combined in the early stages of my life kind of really pushed me on this is what we got to do day in, day out. And then I have certain standards of how we're going to do everything, how we're going to treat customers, how we're going to pay our guys, how we're going to, motivate the team, how we're going to carry ourselves from a professionalism standpoint. So the standards that we held everybody to and that we held ourselves to, I think we're just way far and above anybody else and any other company around. So.
Yeah. And, it's obvious when you're going to build something that's going to end up being huge like that, you've got to have that special mentality that, 99.9% of the population does not understand, because, most people don't go through the things that you go through. They don't go through an addiction. They don't go through the, hitting rock bottom and then realizing, oh my gosh, there's got to be more for me at this life than what I'm doing. And I always like to ask this question to people, because with roofing, especially, it's a second chance in life type industry. And I was very lucky. One day I was just having a bad day. I used to drive a drywall truck, and I was having a bad day. I ended up stopping at a roofing supply company, and I got a job there. And here 28 years later, it's like, man, I've kind of done a little bit of everything in the industry, and it's been a blast. And I didn't have any of those, any of those things to overcome. I've just kind of had a good time with it. But I've talked to a lot of people that have dealt with addictions, that have dealt with, hitting the bottom and then saying, okay, you get into roofing. Was this something that you, obviously having a construction background, had probably looked at, but was it ever your chosen path? As a kid, did you dream one day I'm going to own a roofing company and I'm going to be like the biggest badass in roofing? How did roofing come into your life as a primary, I would say a primary savior? And, what was the mindset when you got into this?
So it's funny. I actually, I worked, for a roofing company when I was, 16 years old, picking up the materials, cleaning up the job site basically. And then, driving the dump truck, emptying the dump truck, bringing it back. And, smaller company. It was my girlfriend at the time when I was young, is her brother-in-law's company, and he was kind of a one-man show, phenomenal guy, and I got to hang out with the crew and learn a lot about it. But no, that was just by happen chance. That wasn't like a thing that
like
I saw.
A summer job.
Yeah, that's all it was. It wasn't this is where I'm going to take my life to. And but being in the gym industry, when I met my wife, my now wife, and we started dating. We had moved in together, and I realized that the hours weren't conducive. So I was like, I'm going to go open my own business and work more hours. But the hours were just crazy in the gym, and the money wasn't what it used to be, And I was a regional manager at a bunch of different chains of gyms, and being moved around from different gym to gym to bring up different chains, and being recruited from different chains. And it was fun. It was my passion. It was what I love to do. But, I wanted to take it to another level. So I was presented with this opportunity to get into roofing. And it's funny, I'd had a guy that had done, worked for me as a personal trainer at one of my locations, for a couple years had been telling me like, hey man, you really need to get in, like check this roofing thing out. Like I'm doing great with it. With your sales ability, you would kill it. And he's telling me like how you do it. And then you put a yard sign out, and he's giving me like the quick Cliff Notes version. And being in sales and roofing, not a big thing at the time. Like social media wasn't as big. Nobody was posting about roofing on social media. I was like, man, it seems too good to be true. I don't know about it, And finally, after like 2 years, he started sending me pictures of his paychecks. And, they just kept going up and up. And one week it was like 28 grand. And I was like, man, I got to figure this shit out. And so I told my wife, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just quit the gym industry, cold turkey. I'm going to hop into this and learn it. And I went to work for another company, because that was my plan, was to make money. I didn't plan on being an entrepreneur or anything like that, but I'm thankful for it. And when I went to work for the other company, they didn't teach me anything. They just gave me leads that were like from Hail 911 or something like that. And looking back on it now, I can tell they cherry picked the leads that they wanted, and I got like the bullshit Allstate ones and stuff like that. So after doing like 2 deals with them or 2 inspections and no one teaching me how to climb, no one showing me what damage was, no one showing anything, dude, helping me with adjuster meetings or anything. I had the first adjuster that I ever had on a roof. He taught me more than the company ever did. And so I said, well, if I'm going to have to learn it myself, I'm not going to split the money with nobody. I'm going to do it myself, And so I left there, started my own company, and had that one for about maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years. We had grown into multiple states, and that's actually where Ray came on, and had met Ray and linked up with him. And I was training him. I was training a bunch of other guys. I was growing the company, and I had taken my first vacation in like the 4 years that we had been open. And I remember on the way back from vacation, people were calling me and are like, hey, why is my commission short? Materials gone up, labor's gone up, Ray's pissed off. He's lived an X street life like I did. So he went straight to the source to find out if materials went up or not. And they didn't. And I was like, when I get back, I'll figure it out. And so my partner had gone in and increased all these prices to try to make us more money. And I said, hey bro, I said, I'm not with that. I'm not cool with getting over on somebody to make me more money. Like, granted, we all want to make as much money as possible, but I'm not going to screw somebody else over to make me more money. That's just not how I operate. And then it was like the very next day that we had a detective come in for workers' comp fraud, because we had a workers' comp case, and we got a bill for like $765,000. And this is before I left to go on vacation. And we got attorneys involved, and we got it down to like 60 grand. And I was like, perfect, let's pay it. 1 payment, 2 payments, whatever we got to do, let's pay it and keep it moving. And when I get back and the detective shows up, that's not what he did while I was gone. And my partner had basically told them that he didn't sign it and I didn't sign it, so it wasn't valid, which is true. We didn't sign it. Our office manager signed it, but under our direct orders, because she signed the check. She knew our signatures. It was, hey, find us the best workers' comp you can find. We got a bunch of apartment complexes coming up. Find it and get it, sign it, pay for it, run it. And so when the detective's in there investigating this, I said, hey, bud, I said, I don't do this. I said, I'm going to go talk to him. I'll be right back. And I walked in the other room. I said, hey, I got a daughter on the way, going to be born in a couple months, my first kid. I don't live that life anymore. You can have my half of the company back. I don't want any money. I don't want a dime. Take it. Just sign me off all past, present, future debt and liabilities. And walked out the door. Ray came with me. One other guy came with me. And we went and got cards that day, shirts that day. Didn't even know what we were going to name it. I was driving down the road and I saw like heavy machinery equipment rental type place, and it was called like Perimeter Equipment Rentals. And I was like, that's it, Perimeter Roofing, fuck it, let's go. And so I just named it. The logo looked like a stick figure. If I can find it, I'll have to find the original logo and send it to you. But we had cards made, we had hoodies made. The hoodies were even messed up because our number was something, and the last four were spelled out roof. And so on the hoodies, it had 3 O's. So it was roof instead of roof. And I'm like, fuck it. Like we gotta just run with it. Let's go. And we just started knocking that day and started growing it and killing it. And did that for a couple of years. And then I realized, like, hey, if I really want to scale this thing, have the flexibility and freedom as well with my family and my kids, and still be able to train and grow, like I have to bring on other people. So Ray was trained up at this time. He was out in the field. He was hungry. He was willing to do whatever and work. He didn't ever want to go back to the life we used to live. So, and I trusted him, with my life. So, I brought him on as a partner and gave him 33%. And then he basically oversaw the entire field. I was more in the office and the entire operations and kind of moving chess pieces around, so to speak. And then I ended up bringing Lance on, who was we were already dealing with him on all the crews and materials and everything like that. And I was like, well, I just need to bring him on because I know he's getting paid off the top from the crews, whatever, $5 per square, $10, whatever he was making. I don't know. I don't care. But I was like, I just need to bring him on as a partner as well and have him oversee the production side, make sure that the jobs are done, the crews are where they need to be, what crew is what house they need to be based off of its specialty, or if it's 80 squares or 30 squares, or make sure the trailers are all there. So he took over that side of things. And then we just continued to grow it. And I remember the first year we did 6 million, second year we did 12. And then we came out and said, I'm going to do 50 million one year. And everybody just laughed at us. And we had already passed a lot of companies that had been in business for, 10, 15 years. And so that just really made me mad and lit a fire under my ass. And I was like, all right, just keep doubting and watching. And so then year 3, we did 20 million, and then 25, and then 40, and then 53. And then that's when we started acquiring other companies and grew it we did 280 the year I resigned. So it was a fun ride, but I never imagined that I would take it that far when I started. It was more so, let me get in this for the money, because, we didn't have any money. Me and my wife were figuring out what bills to pay and not pay. And, we were renting a house that ended up getting shot up. And I was like, I got to do better for us and have more safety and freedom and flexibility. And so the more I excelled, the more I believed in myself. And that's really what I think the game changer was. And then figuring out the loopholes too. I think there's so many people that they try to stay between the lines, so to speak. And there's always a loophole or a way around things that you can make things happen that's how you want to run them in a business. And it might not be ideal with the Department of Labor, Department of, or EEOC or whatever, but there's a way that you can legally do it. You just got to find out how that can work. You know what I mean? And that was the biggest thing. We didn't ever stop. When we hit a roadblock, and, I tell people this all the time. I'm like, you can't just, if you're headed home from the gym, you went to the gym this morning, if you're headed home and there's construction, you can't just sit there for the next few days waiting for construction to end. You got to find a new way home. So it's the same thing. We knew where we wanted to go. And if we hit a roadblock in any certain process or procedure that we were trying to figure out, we just figured out a different way around it. And we continued to do that as we grew more and more and made things as efficient as possible, which was the biggest thing for me. The more efficient we are, the more jobs we can do, the more jobs we can sell, the more money we can make. And, and then I think the thing that really kind of pushed us even further was the ability to give back to others, and speaking of like former addicts and stuff like that, seeing the lives that we were changing that were coming on to the team. And, some of them straight out of, halfway houses and sober and didn't want to go back to life and wanted to learn. And they were, man, they would do anything to learn, and you poured time into them and you taught them a trade. And now all of a sudden they're making $100,000. And, I've got some of those same guys right now making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. And it's like, they're loyal to the core, and they'll do anything, and they'll outwork anybody. And, so I love those people. And I think that was a blessing for us, was that we had some of those connections of people that we knew from the streets back in the day that had turned their lives around and wanted to do better and wanted to do things in the legal sense. And man, they just, once they knew it, it was off to the races.
And I'll tell you what, that right there was amazing, because I didn't recognize the first part of the story where it's like, we just decided one day to leave our company. We started it up. We see an equipment name over there, and that's what we named it after. That's, okay, awesome. So you got some guys out there. You guys are out there killing it, like instant success. It's not typical to do 6 million your first year as a roofing company. You guys are putting in all the work. You're doing everything that needs to be done, and you're finding people that you can elevate in life, which that's the most admirable trait that you guys have to this day. I mean, Raymond Little, if it weren't for him, you and I wouldn't be sitting here talking right now, because he reached out and said, hey, you want to have Todd on your podcast? He's my buddy, and I'll get him to come on the podcast. And it's like, you guys gain nothing from this, and you're willing to sit and talk with me and have that. And I just think that the mindset of, bringing people up rather than looking down on them is where the success really starts. And it's almost like you're blessed because you're blessing others in the process. Let's talk a little bit about this. You start off, like, say, House of Fire. You guys are out there killing it. It's a team, and you've got to start scaling this thing. What's the process look like when you start realizing, okay, I got to make this a completely different situation to get to where we're going to ultimately get? You're doing 6, you want to get to 50. Obviously, there are some changes that need to be made, some people that need to be brought in. What's the framework look like when you decide, okay, here's what we're going to do? You've got production, you've got, field, you've got everything on the inside, but you're doing all that stuff yourself. Yeah. And you need to get out of that mindset so that you can continue to grow. So what's that look like in those early days when you guys say, hell with it, we're going 50 million, let's go? What are some of the key people that you brought on first to help facilitate that growth?
Yeah. So and Ray will tell you stories. Ray will tell you stories about, like, where I almost ran off the road or almost missed exits because he's not helping me pay attention, and I'm driving, and why I'm driving and doing all this other stuff, and he wasn't driving. I still don't know why we didn't think about that. But back then, like, nothing was digital either. Everything was paper. We didn't have CRMs, so everything was not only paper, but then it was all files. Yep. And if you think about, like, a CRM, like, let's just use AccuLinks, for example, and how you're moving it through that process on AccuLinks, from prospect to approved to, whether built, completed, whatever. Like, we had that same kind of process, but with folders. And so when a folder got done being built and it needed to COC sent in, it would move from this file over to this other girl's file at this office, and then she would know, all right, everybody in here needs a COC sent out, and then send it out. And then the COC would also get put in the folder. And then that file would move to the particular salesperson's file to where they know we're waiting on the AR on this, and call, follow up, check, collect that back in. And, but yeah, I was doing everything. I was training people. I'd have Ray with me a lot of the time, and still helping him out. And then I would have, bringing on new guys and training them as well, and teaching them how to knock, teaching them how to climb safely, teaching them how to do an inspection, what damage looks like, how to do a contract, all this kind of stuff. And then as I'm driving, I would be looking at scopes and contracts and filling out paper order forms that I could send to the supply house, to whoever I was using at the time, send to the supply house, and then also sending it to the crew and then scheduling the crew for whatever day. And so I would do all that, nonstop throughout the day. And then I would get home, and then I had to do all the COCs for the jobs that we had done. And the first person that we brought on was somebody that could do, because for me, it was like, what do I not like? What do I just absolutely hate? And what's not my cup of tea? Everybody's got their strong point, and mine was people and sales. Like, I'm great with people. I'm great at speaking. I'm great with sales. Like, I want to be out in the field doing that kind of stuff and making business moves. So the first person I brought on was somebody that could just be like an overall general office manager, answer the phones, send emails, respond to emails, could send out invoices if we needed to send an invoice to somebody, do payroll and do QuickBooks, all the bookkeeping, stuff like that. So that was kind of the first role that I brought on. And then, waited till we grew a little bit bigger to where we could afford to bring somebody else on. And then I brought on somebody that did basically the production side, ordered all the materials, went through all the jobs, made sure that the scopes matched the Eagle views, and the contract had everything on it that it needed to have on it to, cover our ass, so to speak, and all the signatures in the correct places. And then they would schedule all the builds, and we just had a huge whiteboard. There was nothing digital, huge whiteboard in that person's office with a calendar on it, and we would schedule the builds for each day for like a week or two out. And so it was just constantly, it wasn't a click of a button and, Chuck's build, it's snowing today, so Chuck's build's got to move from today to Monday, whatever it was. And it wasn't a click of a button. It was literally erasing an entire week, moving everything over one day, and then having to do the next. Everything just pushed everything back. And it was a bunch of erasing and rewriting. But those were the two positions that really allowed me to focus more on bringing them on, allowed me more free time and less stress to be able to focus on recruiting, training, and bringing people into the industry that fit our culture, and I think that was the biggest thing. Like the culture for us was huge. We were very hard on each other in a friendly way. Like, we just held each other accountable. We were very direct. Especially Ray, he'll tell you that. Like, he's apologized to me multiple times, and I'm like, bro, it's fine. We held each other accountable. Like, we all need it. It is what it is. I think that was good. But we also truly had each other's back and would go to war for each other and supported each other and helped one another, whether it was on a roof or whether it was dealing with an insurance agent or whether it was helping cover an adjuster meeting or inspection while somebody was double booked or on vacation. And there was no like, yeah, I'll do it, but I'm charge you $200. It was like, no, I'm going to need somebody to cover one for me at some point. So no, we just help each other out. And, when we first started too, like, the biggest thing for us was I wanted everybody to realize that we were a team. Like, there was no like, yeah, I signed 4 today and y'all didn't sign shit. Like, what's the deal? It's, if we're all out together, why aren't we all signing the equal amount of deals? Especially with me being the owner of the company. So when we would go out and I would train people, it didn't matter if I had one person with me or 3 people with me. I would figure out, we'd always make a pact what we're going to do that day. We're going to get 1 each. We're going to get 2 each. What are we going to do? And so we would go out, and whether we had appointments or whether we had to do door knocking as well and things of that nature, like, we would hustle and grind. And if I got the first one, I'd get up and inspect it and sign it. And then, if I get somebody answers the second door that I knock and I get it too, I'm going to go, hey, Chuck, this one's yours, bro. Come on, let's climb it. And that's your deal. Like, we find damage on it, Chuck, go down, sign it up. I'm going to keep knocking and help. So, because who knows, I could just have good luck that day and people were answering the door for me and I just happened to hit the right doors, So we made it fair to where we were helping each other on inspections, and it just showed that none of us were greedy. We all wanted to help each other out, and we all wanted to make the most of each other and have fun doing it too, because it can get, especially if it's cold or especially if it's 100 degrees out and you're up on a roof, like, then it can really get monotonous and boring. But it's already rough when you're out there knocking doors and you got people, slamming doors in your face and saying no, or this is a no soliciting neighborhood or whatever. You got to be able to have fun with it. And a lot of people take it too seriously and they get into their feelings and emotions and like, man, I just can't win. These people are assholes. A lot of people, they'll blame it on the people. I'm like, no. It's you. Let's figure out the pitch. Let's correct the pitch. Let's see where we're struggling at and then go from there. But it's that chin up, chest out, like constantly moving forward. Just because this neighbor tells me no doesn't mean the next neighbor doesn't want a new roof. So having that mindset of I'm not going to quit and I always want to do better. Like, there was no complacency mindset didn't matter what somebody did the year before. Like, if they did 1 million, 5 million, whatever, the next year they wanted to do more. And we didn't have to, obviously we did bonuses and incentives and different goals and things like that throughout the year. But at the same time, like, we didn't have to do that. They just wanted to do more just out of the fact that they wanted to be the top dog. Like, and they were proud to work for the company. We had a good reputation. Our name held weight in the industry. And, I think all that played into the bigger picture of the culture. And then as we started bringing people on, I was probably the first one that I don't know anyone that was doing it before me. Maybe there was, but the first one that was really posting, because I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about SEO or any of that kind of stuff. So, I was like people on there. So I was the first one posting on Facebook, and it started with, signups and approvals. Call us today if you have a leak or if you have this. And then it went into before and after pictures, and then testimonials, and then funny memes, and then drone videos. Like, I was always trying to think and stay ahead of what other people were doing. I think that was huge too, is staying ahead of the curve, putting it out there. But then at the same time, all the reps realized how beneficial it was to constantly put your name out there and build that personal brand for yourself as well. And because there might be people that just don't like me. I'll tell you straight up, there's a lot of people that don't like me, and it is what it is. But they might love you or Shannon or Ray or whatever. And so then they want to follow the company page or follow Ray, and then they get the roof done because of that. So the more they posted, one, it was just more business, but two, it was a way of recruiting more people, because especially the people that knew us, having the rough past, they would see the other sales guys that had rough past, or even me or Ray, and they would be like, man, such and such, I grew up with that dude, man, and he was shot out, and like now he's completely sober and he's working with this company, and he just bought a brand new $100,000 truck, and he's like about to close on a house, and he's always posting about the company. Looks like he's having fun. Like, I want to go work there. Like, fuck this 9 to 5 that I hate. Like, I want to go work there with them. That looks cool. And so then they would have friends that wanted to come over. And so it was a way to recruit people too, because they saw the culture, they saw the positivity, they saw us not just working, but also like us joking around, us having fun, us, being human beings and not always just super strict business. Like, we were always focused on business, but we knew how to have fun and joke and laugh and have fun while we're doing it too. And throwing events at Top Golf and going out to dinners together and doing different things like that, because we were a family, you know. And I think when we did it like that, a lot of people saw that, and we made it something that people wanted to be a part of. And it wasn't just, I have this job and they pay me this much money. It was, I want to be a part of that. It was almost more important than the money itself. So I think that's some of the biggest things that we did to really grow and excel and recruit people as we were moving along.
Man, I'll tell you what, I love that. And I love the culture aspect of everything, because you're right. You get people that are willing to stand beside you, and they're willing to walk through brick walls for you, because they know that no matter what happens, you're going to have their back. You're going to treat them right. I tell all my people that have been with me over the years, you know, I'm always going to have the sales reps back against, you know, a pissed off homeowner. I'm always going to have the crews back. I'm always going to have my team. And if I find out after the fact something was wrong, then okay, you know, whatever, my bad. But they know this guy's going to stand up. He's going to be at the forefront. And he's going to battle for us. When you start getting all these other people in, here's been something that I've experienced myself, and I've never scaled to a $300 million company by any means, but you start bringing in people, their friends start seeing the lifestyle, start seeing the money, start seeing, you know, what is potential with this industry, but not all people are good. And sometimes people get blinded by this light, and they're like, man, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And they end up doing some, you know, dangerous or very, you know, devastating things along the way. So I know that you've probably got one or two stories of people that have screwed you over along the way. What you know, what kind of adversity do you have to come through on that phase as you're building one of the largest companies in the United States? And, you know, how much of an impact does that have on your growth?
As far as the growth, I mean, I could tell you stories all day on this, because I've got so many people that have, you know, screwed us over in business and stolen jobs from us. And I mean, I got guys that owe me a couple $100,000. I got guys that owe me, still to this day, personally owe me that much. And owe me 75 grand, owe me whatever. And it's just like, and then they're just living the life on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm just, you know, you get to the point where, and I tell other business owners this as well, when it first happened, like it kind of is hurtful, because a lot, if it's somebody that you don't know and it's just a random person, they're normally not the ones that are going to do anything super crazy, and you catch them fast enough, and you don't care. You're just like, screw them, glad they're gone, fuck it, let's go. You know, it cost me $5,000, see ya. But then you have some that are like the closest to you that you trust, and they'll steal or do shady shit, and or cause damage to roofs, you know, whatever. And you have to, like, you catch it and you're like, man, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not putting my name on the line. I'm not jeopardizing the name of the company. And it's not just about me and you. It's about every other person that works here. If we have 100 people that work here and you're doing something shady, you're risking the well-being of 99 other people. And I don't care if you're my top salesperson or what, I can't allow that, because these 99 other people depend on checks from here. And not just the salespeople. Then you got the crews too. You got the office staff. You got all these people that depend on a paycheck from here to take care of themselves and take care of their family or their kids or whatever. So top salesperson or not, you can go. And I've done that plenty of times, you know, and but you have to, where it gets to a point where I think it affects people really in business is that they let it sit with them too long, because especially when somebody that's close to you, it can be hurtful. And
Absolutely.
The first one or two times, and then, you know, and I've lost, I couldn't tell you how many quote unquote best men. I've got 3 or 4 guys that I was the best man in their wedding, and they absolutely hate me, and they did me wrong, and I have nothing to do with it. And it is what it is. I don't care. I'm good. I got my wife, my kids, my parents, like 2 really, really close friends. I'm good. But the fact that they do that and ruin the reputation and their name is also so wild to me, because I look back at like when I was off the rails, and I did a bunch of crazy stuff and lived a wild life, as did Ray, and as did a bunch of other people. But we've spent a long time. I think Ray's been sober for 12 years now, I believe. I could be wrong on that, and I've been sober. November was 15 years for me. So for 15 years now, I've been trying to do right by others, and I'm not perfect by any means. I make mistakes, but it's never out of like malice with ill intentions or anything. It's maybe I just made the wrong decision, but I try to be the best version of myself, help everybody to the best of my abilities. I give so much to others. I pour into others, because to me, I've realized that like the money is cool, but it's not everything. Like all the shiny shit, the houses, the cars, the watches, like that shit fades. Like, and it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to have the flexibility and the free time and live life on your own terms. But I just want to be able to go eat lunch with my kids and go to the field trips with them and hang out with them and hang out with my wife and do stuff for my parents. That's all I care about. That's the stuff that, means more to me than anything. And, but people are willing to ruin their reputation for stealing $100,000 in jobs or screwing over contractors or doing this or doing that. And which one is wild to me, but 2, I had to get to the point, and I tell a lot of other people this too. It's not the last time it's going to happen. Like, if you're going to be in business, it's going to happen again. And you just have to expect it. And you got to go, okay, you're one of them. Cool. Move on over there. And like, I'm very big on like, if you're on the fence and you don't know what side you're on their side or my side, I'm just going to go ahead and put you on their side, so I don't have to question, and I'm fine with it. Like, I'm 100% fine with it. And because I know they need me more than I need them to make money or to be successful or things. So I got to the point where I was able to move on very quickly and just go, all right, well, fuck them. They stole 100,000 in jobs, but let's move on. We did have one guy from a company that we acquired that vandalized some roofs. And when I say some roofs, I mean an entire, I forget if it was I think it was townhomes. I don't think it was apartments, but an entire townhome community. And I had gotten a rumor, or somebody told me that there was pictures of him vandalizing it. And I didn't really know the guy. And, we had acquired this company, so I didn't know him. I didn't hire him, but I'm responsible for him now, so, and he's already been up on this roof. And I asked him, and I said, hey, did you do this? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, they're saying they got video. And he's like, show me video, because it didn't happen. And I mean, he sold me on it. He sold Ray on it too. And I'm like, dude, he's like, I believe him, because he's like gung ho on prove it to him. I didn't do nothing. And, sure enough, like a week later, we get a letter from an attorney and the board of the HOA at the townhomes, and a video. And it's a drone coming up over the backside of a roof and looking at the roofs across the street. And there he is, clear as day, him, his walk, his truck in front. And he's just walking up and down, just creasing shingles. And I was like, dude, we can't do that. So I immediately let him go. And then I scheduled a meeting with the board, and I went out there and they started to argue. And I said, hang on. I'm not here to argue. Like, I 100% am taking responsibility for this. So now I want to let you know, I didn't hire this man. We acquired this company. He was already here. So, but due to the fact that we acquired the company, I'm responsible for this. So we're going to cover everything. We're going to pay for everything. And I asked him. I said, my only ask is that you allow us to be the ones that install the roof. Because if another company comes out, there's going to be a lot of overhead and up charges and things like that. So to save me some money, we're going to give you the best quality roof, the best install, all architectural shingles, all synthetic felt. We're going to do everything to code, and make it perfect. Pick whatever color shingles you want. You can even pick whatever brand you want if you want to. And they ended up agreeing to it, and it ended up costing us a little bit over $400,000. It was like $450,000. So that was a setback, but it was also a setback later on, and it definitely would have screwed us up if it was earlier in the years, but like we're at a point now where we could throw $450,000 and it didn't really affect us that much. But it still affected you. I don't want to say like we had billions in the fucking bank, but it still affected you. And we definitely would have rather have used that money for something else. But I don't know why people do that, man. But, I've always been the type of person, Ray too, that people are going to make mistakes. People are going to do dumb decisions. And we're going to, like, when it's something like that, we're going to take it on the chin and say, hey, 100% this is on us. I don't agree with it, but I'm responsible for it. So tell me what I owe you, or, I can go ahead and get materials out here and re-roof the entire thing for you. But I'm responsible. So I don't even want to argue with you on like, did we do it or did we not? I saw the video. I got you, and that stuff happens with every company. And the bigger you grow, and a lot of people try to act like it doesn't happen, or somebody doesn't waive a deductible or what. Okay, whatever. But I've heard it all. I see it all on all the different groups. But it happens. And the more people you have, the more likely somebody is to go rogue and think they can get away with something, or think they can cut a corner or something like. So you have to keep a really, close eye on these guys and what they're doing, because they're out there, doing their thing, selling, but you don't know what they're doing all the time, and you don't have eyes on them 100% of the time. So you want to make sure that it's 100% up to par and they're doing things the right way, the way that we, recommend, that they're fitting our culture, our ethics, our integrity, our core values and beliefs. Like, that's huge. And if you don't fit our core values, you're going to end up weeding yourself out. Like, and that's what happened here. But yeah, I could sit here and tell you stories for days of things that people have done. And it's just, the biggest thing is a lot of people would get that $450,000 bill and like kind of be like, fuck, I'm done. Like, shit, what am I? You just got to keep going, man. Like, when you take lessons like that, like it's a hard lesson. It's a hard pill to swallow, but at the same time, it allows you to learn things and implement new systems to oversee certain aspects, or integrate new systems and processes to where this doesn't happen again, or whatever it may be, to where you're protecting yourself and covering your ass in the future. So a lot of times, some of the bad things that happen are some of the best things that happen, like the workers' comp issue. That taught me about workers' comp and how I need to do everything and protect myself to the best of my ability. And like when we ended up meeting with private equity, I told them how we were doing it, and they were completely impressed. They were like, how did you learn all this? And I was like, I got a $765,000 bill. And I figured out real quick, this can't ever happen again. And so I figured out every aspect of how I need to be the most protected possible. And I implemented those things, and they brought in like a specialist attorney to look over everything. And they're like, the way he's doing it, you can't do it no better. And, so those mistakes that you made, you can't let them hinder you. You can't let them slow you down. You got to learn from them. As long as you learn from them, you're constantly growing, So, and I think that's where a lot of people shut down, and you just got to continue pushing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's extremely powerful right there. And I love the ownership and the responsibility. And one of my core values of our company is extreme ownership. You know, I've paid for people's roofs before out of my pocket because something didn't go quite right. And that's terrible. It's not fun. It's horrible. But at the end of the day, I think it builds our character. It shows us who we are. It gives you the idea to implement the other things that go into it. And for you, you're acquiring different companies across, you know, multiple states. You're working in different markets. You've got all kinds of stuff going. And then the thing that you just hit upon is the next, you know, the next phase of this journey, your private equity. So you had to build something that someone could look at from the outside and say, this is something that we're willing to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in. And I know roofing companies, I've been in this for 28 years. I've seen everything, man. I used to run a roofing supply company in North Carolina when it was, like you said, people writing stuff down on napkins and handing it over and doing all that stuff. And there are still people that get by with that to this day, but it's like, man, you have to really evolve and develop your systems and processes so that if you do have the plan on getting out, it's going to be something that somebody actually wants to look at and give you the money for. So without getting into too many details on that, I know it was a pretty big, you know, situation there with you guys getting that private equity deal. And, you know, it probably set you up for life when you get out of the roofing deal. I know with Ray, you know, he was kind of telling me a little bit how, you know, he has non-competes and he can't do this stuff. You kind of got completely out of roofing altogether, right?
Yeah. So, Ray stayed on a little bit longer than I did. When I resigned, I cut ties. I was going to retire. I stayed on for about a year after we sold, and then I was going to retire, and I, you know, started doing other things, and you know, I already had like I don't know, I got 6 or 7 other businesses, you know, too, and majority of them are like mailbox money, and but some I put effort into, and then I remember after like 2 months, I was sitting on the couch with my wife, and you know, we had bought after I resigned. I was like, let's do a whole like reset, start over, like, because just to clear my head. I had stress with business. Then I had stress with the going through the private equity deal and all that. That it's worth it, but it can drain you too, you know? And so I was like, let's go find another house. Let's go build another house. Let's get a bunch of land. Let's start a farm. You know, like, let's do fun shit for the kids to where we can have as many playgrounds as they want. They can ride dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, run around wherever. We don't have to worry about any cars, like, close to the road or in a neighborhood or anything like that. And so that's what we did. And we moved out here, and then I'm like two months out of the game. And I remember looking at her. We were sitting on the couch watching TV, and I looked at her and I said, I feel fucking worthless. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I just feel worthless. And she said, I don't, like, she looked at me like I was crazy. And she was like, the house is paid for cash. Like, all the cars are paid for. Kids are healthy. You're healthy. I'm healthy. Like, I don't understand. And I'm like, I have to do something. Like, I have to have a purpose. Like, I have to chase something. So that's when I gotten into fighting professionally and doing the business coaching. And so those are the two main things that take up a majority of my time. It's just the training aspect and then the coaching other people. But I love it. You know, I love training. I love working out. I love fighting. It's, you know, it's fun. And then I love pouring into other people. And I haven't done as many speaking events, you know, over the last year, just because of the fact that I'd like to go do some more, just to get out and catch up with people I hadn't seen in a while, like Stuman. And, you know, I was talking to some other guys in Texas yesterday. But I would definitely like to get out and do more, but I've really been pouring into a lot of the companies that I coach, and majority of them are blue collar. They're not all roofing by any means. I've got mitigation guys, electrical companies. I even got some software companies, marketing companies. But the biggest thing where people struggle at is like the systems and processes and operations. It's not necessarily their skill set, like one of the pest control companies that I do. It's like they know how to do pest control, they just don't know how to run a business. So it's I gotta work with them and help them on those things. And so I love doing that. I love pouring into them and helping them and seeing them grow. And I had one company that did 8 million in, what are we in 26 now? They did 8 million in 24, and I started working with them in 25, and we did 22 million. So I grew from 8 to 22. Another one grew from 3 to 14. And it's just super cool, man. I got one kid that's in my group coaching, and he does roofing. He's out in more towards the northwest. Super young kid, and he was doing about $47,000 a month in sales. And this kid is just so driven, man. And he doesn't want to let you down. He tells me, he's like, Todd, I just don't want to let you down. I just listen to what you say and I go implement it. And he's been in my group coaching for probably like 6 months now. And after 3 months, he was doing $200,000 to $250,000 a month. And then last month, he told me he brought home $100,000. And the kid's like 19, 20, maybe 21 years old, and killing it. Has 4 people now and has 4 trucks for them. They're all W-2'd, just scaling his company. And he's like, I just listen to what you say and I just go implement it. I don't want to let you down. Super nice guy. He's like, I haven't told my parents. I think he's got 9 brothers and sisters, or he's one of 9, and Spanish. And he's like, my parents just tell me to go get a job at Lowe's and just, have something secure. And he's like, so I haven't told him what I'm doing or how much money I make or anything like that. And he's being smart with his money, and he's saving it. He's not blowing it. He's not doing anything stupid. And he goes to the gym every day and works. And man, it's so cool to see. And I love people like that, man. And so pouring into people like that and seeing them grow and scale, and like me having fucked up so many times in business and learning the hard way, it's like, if I can keep you from getting those fines or those issues or those EEOC bullshit ass EEOC complaints, like whatever it is, like I want to help. I want to help with your systems, your processes, your operations, efficiency, like everything. I want to help with that. And then from a connections standpoint too, being able to hook them up and get them better discounts, better rebates, things of that nature. So, but I love it, man. It's given me fulfillment. It's given me something to look forward to and watch these guys. It's kind of the same thing of, when we had the guys at the company and seeing their lives turn around, so seeing these guys just scale and change their lives. And I got one guy that's about to buy a plane, and he's got his pilot license, and now he's about to buy a brand new plane. And he's like, I'm going to come down and fly down and take you to lunch. It's only an 1.5-hour flight. And I'm like, come on, bud, whenever you want, So it's cool to see, man. And all these guys are like family to me. And, I treat every company like it's my company, like what I would do if it was my company. And obviously it's their say so at the end of the day based off what they want to do. But I lay out all the options, my recommendations, the pros and cons of each option. And, but it's fun. I really, really enjoy it.
That's awesome. And I'll tell you, at the end of the day, when everything shakes out and life comes, we're sitting at the finish line and looking back at life, you're going to be able to see, a complete list of people whose lives you've changed, who you've brought up and helped. And that was your calling when you were put on this earth. It took a while probably to realize it, but that was your ultimate calling. to help the people to get to where you've already gotten, and the people that are willing to put in the work, the people that have the right attitude, the people that don't have that, bitch mentality, if we're just going to be honest, and you bring them up, and then they say, I've got so many friends in this industry that say, Todd's the man. He's helped me with this. He does this. And elite level people. And that to me is probably way bigger than even the roofing company ever could have been, or the money that you brought in, or any of that stuff. It's your legacy. And I think that really what I admire the most about you is the fact that you are so tight with your family. A lot of people, when they get to this level of success, can kind of be assholes and can kind of, fall off the rails, like you said, and do whatever they do, treat people poorly. But that's never been your thing. You've always treated people very well. And I do have one other thing I want to talk about before we jump off here today. And I know I told you it'd be an hour, and we're at an hour now. So if I get a couple more minutes out of this is going to be badass.
I'm good.
So
finished my protein shake, and now I got my energy drink. So
I love it.
I'm good to go.
I love it. So all the personal development, all the discipline, all the training, everything that you've done, everything that you put into it, you build an amazing corporation, you exit, come to find out, man, sitting on the couch isn't my thing. I don't want to do this. No. The second thing that you brought up right there is the thing that fascinates me the most. Professional fighter. Okay. And I've seen your fights. I've been following your stuff. I know what's going on. I know you guys are huge fight fans and all that stuff. And when we were there in Florida, I was back there with you and Forrest Griffin and Donald Sanchez and all these people that are in that combat sports world. Most of them have been doing it since they were kids. Now, you're a different story, becoming a professional fighter after the fact of building an entire empire, doing all this stuff. Tell me a little bit about this, because, it takes a different mindset to go in there and get punched in the face, especially when you have no real need to go get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Tell me about the motivation behind putting it out there. Is it just simply, I want to see what I can do. I want to test myself. What are you trying to prove with this, if anything, or is it just for fun?
I would say it's more for fun and more for just to check something else off my list and to inspire people, man. Like, I know Ray gives me a hard time. He gives me a harder time than anybody. But he, when I was going to do the first fight, and he was like, man, what happens if you just go? I mean, anybody can get, knocked out on any given day. What if you just go out there and get knocked out? And I was like, well, fuck it. I go out there and get knocked out. Like, it is what it, you know what I mean? Like, but I got in the ring, and, I had so many, and my first fight I lost. Like, it was a great fight. And I had so many people that, messaged me and were like, man, that's so inspiring to see you do that. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, but the way it started was, so when I was in the gym industry and I was moving around from gym to gym, getting recruited from different gyms, one of the gyms that I trained was a gym here called Knuckle Up. And a lot of those have turned into American Top Teams now. So I ran all the training there, and was training there every day too while I was there. And that was when I was like 20, 21. So I've been doing it on and off for 20 years. And but I'd always put more into bodybuilding than to MMA. And so when I retired from bodybuilding, when I was 37 or 38, I don't remember. I'm 40 now. I got back into training MMA, doing stand-up, pad work, all this kind of stuff. And one of the guys that fights BKFC, he's, I sponsored him a lot because I saw like the younger me in him. And this is before he had really, I think he had like one fight in the BKFC, which is the bare knuckle stuff at that time. And, but I just saw the way he trained, and I was like, man, I want to help this kid, just because of the fact that, like, I see the old me in him and like the drive that he has. And like, I want to be able to like give back to him, just, help him reach his dreams. And so I did that. We went and watched his next fight. He absolutely destroyed it. It was when they were here in Atlanta, December a year ago, December of 24, and absolutely destroyed the guy. We had a blast. I dropped like 25 grand and had VIP tickets for like 20 people right up front outside the ring. Like, it was awesome. And we all got to get in the ring and take pictures. They put my logo in the ring. Like, they really took care of me. And so he was like, man, I owe you. And I was like, you don't owe me anything, bro. Like, and he was like, no, let me work with you on pads. Like, let's do some one-on-one pad work too. And so we started doing that a couple times a week, in addition to me doing bag work and jiu-jitsu and everything else. And between rounds of doing pad work one day, he says, bro, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 39. And he was like, yeah, but like, when do you turn 40? And I was like, in June. And he was like, so you're like 39 and a half. And I said, yeah, Nate, what are you getting at here? And he was like, you should do one bare knuckle fight before you turn 40. And I was like, I said, man, I'd love to. I said, but I can't do that. But like, I got nothing to prove, And then at the same time, like, I said, bro, I was an addict. Like, everything that I do is
all in.
So like, if I do one, I'm going to go till I win a belt. Like, and I don't care about my record. I'm not trying to go to the UFC or go to, be a world champion and beat KFC, but I want to win a belt. Like, so that's my goal now. And, which they have one, heavyweight, title fight coming up, locally here in the NFC for the bare knuckle belt. And then I've already talked to the promoter, and whoever wins that, I'm going to fight them for the belt. And it's like, then I reached my goal. I did, if I win it, I reached my goal. If I didn't win, like, I'd keep going. Like, it is what it is. And, but it's been fun. I had to do something to chase. And, you're supposed to have, like in Georgia, you're required to have 5 amateur fights before you go pro. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't have time. Like, let's just do it. Like, I'll learn along the way, just like I did with business and everything else. So we went to, in Mississippi, you can just go straight pro. And so I had a heavyweight MMA fight down there, which I didn't care about doing MMA. I just wanted to do bare knuckle. I had an MMA fight down there, and dude had 32 pro fights and never gone to the ground. And we came out, and I threw one kick, and you could tell he didn't want to feel my power, and just immediately took me to the ground, which I hadn't trained on. Was not like, I'd been focusing on stand up, and so he's hitting me pretty good on the ground. I'm trying to control him. I flip him over, then I'm on top, and then I'm ground and pounding on him, and round ends. And then the next round comes out, and my corner's like, hey, every time you throw that jab, he ducks his head to throw an uppercut. So I did, and just clocked him. But then it was like he was shooting in on me again to take me down. And so he took me down again and was throwing some more punches. And then they stopped the fight because I had a cut above my eye that wouldn't quit bleeding. It was going to my eye. And super nice guy. I still talk to him like at least once a week. And just a goofball dude. He's like me, bigger goofball, loves to have fun. And so we got backstage and we were talking, and he was like, bro, I got lucky. And I was like, dude, you're retiring. It's your last fight. You've had 32 pro, like, you won the fight. And he was like, no, when you hit me with that uppercut, I was out. He said, I wasn't coming at you. He said, I was falling. But I didn't know. It's my first time in the ring. I didn't know what to
he didn't see it.
Yeah. So, he was like, if you had just moved out of the way, bro, you had it won. And I was like, I said, dude, it is what it is, man. I said, you want it, go out with a win,
don't hang your head and try to make that an excuse. I said, you won the fight. Go out, retire, have fun. It was an honor. And then I had a bare knuckle fight here, and it's completely different. And because any one punch can just take you out. And the guy weighed, normally fights 205, which I was like 240. And so I'm like, all right. And we met at 210. So I had to drop a decent amount of weight. And he was, I think, 6'3", and I'm 5'11". And he's same thing, been fighting pro for 13 years. And now this is my second fight. And it's so funny, dude, because like we were you have to learn how to like be, not necessarily be calm in there, but not rush it, And so like one of the combinations that I throw when we're sparring is like a jab and then a cross to the body, especially if it's on taller guys, because they have much longer reach on me. And I always land that. Well, my corner had said like, hey, you need to hit him with that. So in my mind, I went to like, just do that, like focus on that. And I feel like, not to take anything away from the guy, but I feel like I lost the fight. I don't feel like he won the fight. I feel like I was rushed. I was focused just on that one combination and wasn't looking for opportunities. And it's funny because I was coming in at one point and he hit me with a cross straight in the eye, and it didn't faze me at all. And I got in on him and I pulled his head down and I just started throwing punches to his body, and he was smart. He turned me around and he put me up against the fence. So then I was off balance. So then they had to separate us and we started over. And we're throwing punches again. We're hitting each other. And then, man, it was like he grazed my head. Like I didn't even feel the punch. It was like he grazed my head and it just threw my equilibrium off. And I just dropped. And I was completely alert. I came up to my knees. And I was sitting there trying to get like my bearings about me. And I didn't even feel the punch. No pain, no nothing. But I was off kilter. And I'm like, man, if I stand up too fast and I wobble, they're going to call the fight. I'm like, so let me get my bearings about me. And as I'm thinking about all this, then I hear the 10 count. And I'm like, fuck, that's it, So, but it's, every time I go in there, one, it's a blast. And that guy's super fucking cool. I talk to him all the time too. And, but two, it's like you learn as you go, And so I got a lot of these pro fighters that I'm friends with. And they're like, bro, you shouldn't take this upcoming fight because this guy's this. Like Gable Stevenson, the Olympic.
Oh, yeah.
So
he's a beast.
Yeah. So they had reached out to me about wanting to fight him. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And then they backed out for whatever reason. I don't know. And then I started like calling him out, trying to get him. I wanted the fight. And all the fighters that really do this for the money and the living, they were like, this isn't a good fight for you. He's 25, you're 40. He's 265, you're 220 nowadays. And he's an Olympic gold medalist. And we were going to fight in dirty boxing. And I'm like, bro, I don't care. I'm not going to the Olympics. I'm not going to UFC. I don't care about my record. He has like 3 million followers. If I knock him out or he knocks me out, we can do business afterwards. I'm thinking about like long-term game. I said, I just want the opportunity and the views and the publicity, and we get in there and scrap. Whatever happens, happens. I don't care. But maybe that'll still happen. I don't know. He's been killing it. So he's going to be moving. And he's got John Jones in his corner. That was the other thing. I knew he was going to have John Jones in his corner. So I'm like, dude, who gets to fight somebody that's got John Jones in their corner and he's an Olympic gold medalist? I'm like, you can't turn that down. I have nothing to lose. He's got everything to lose. So, but that one didn't pan out. So, but we're working on one. They're talking about BKFC coming back to Atlanta. And then also I'll fight for that belt here based off whoever wins. But yeah, man, it's like I said, I'm not trying to take it to, an extreme and be a full-time fighter, but I kind of train that way just because mentally I'm all out on everything I do. And, but I love it. It's fun. It's a different challenge. It's, learning the patience and completely different training from bodybuilding that I had done for so long. So, it's, but that's originally the reason why I got back into the MMA training, was because when I retired from bodybuilding, I wanted to stay in shape. I wanted to stay healthy. I wanted to be able to keep up with the kids, but I wanted better cardio and longevity versus being 290 pounds and being out of breath when I walk up the stairs, and now I can go all day long running or doing whatever. So I feel much better. And, but yeah, I love it. It's nerve wracking. It's different.
That's the thrill though, right? That's the thrill. You're going out there in front of a bunch of people and it's like, hey, I might get knocked out, but if I do, hey man, at least I was in here. Y'all were watching, and there's a lot of respect that goes to that. And my friend Donald Sanchez is in the BKFC. He's got the roofing company, and he told me on the podcast like 3 years ago, I'm going to fight 2 more fights and I'm going for the belt. And I knew him before he got back into fighting. He had retired as well. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, the mentality that it takes it's different level. And I have nothing but a shit ton of respect for everybody that gets into that, because he's another guy that doesn't have to do it. He's doing it for the love, and just to show that he's, still capable and just wants to go out and do that. And I respect the hell out of it, because, I don't like getting punched, man. I've been punched a few times. It's not the most fun thing for me, but I respect anybody that loves doing that.
Like 3 days ago, I was texting back and forth with Donald. He's a good dude.
Absolutely. Our industry is so full of amazing people, and I've been blessed. I get to do this podcast, and it's been almost 5 years I've been doing this. This is episode 247, and I've gotten to learn, and talk to so many amazing people. And today is definitely no different, man. I'm enjoying this one tremendously. We're going to try to wrap it up a little bit here. I'm going to keep you like way past the 1 hour, but let's talk a little bit about the future. Okay. We've established everything that's happened to this point in life. I know you've got a great family life. Like you said, you got a nice place, parents there, family there, your kids. I see, on social media, just how involved you are with your kids and their life and all that stuff. And you guys have, all kinds of good stuff going on. What's it looking like for the future? Are you going to continue doing coaching? Obviously you can't do fighting forever, so that's probably got a shelf life. But once you get past that, stick around in some capacity, or do you see yourself ever at some point saying, all right, I don't think I'm going to feel worthless anymore. I think I've done a lot, and I've done everything that I wanted to do, and just kind of ride off into the sunset and enjoy the rest of your days?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely going to continue doing the fighting for as long as I can. And maybe when I win a belt, I'll feel fulfilled, and then say, all right, well, what's the next thing? Like, what do we do next? And, from the coaching aspect, like, I like doing that just because it's something I can do from the house here, and really pour into people and help people out and give. And like you were saying, the biggest thing for me is I've always been focused more so on my legacy and how my kids look at me. And I remember growing up, and we'd run into my dad grew up in Lawrenceville, which is basically not far from where I grew up at. And everywhere we would go, we'd run into people that he knew. And they'd sit there and talk. And then, like, if I was there with them, they would tell me stories about the past of him and how he did this, or how he protected them one time in a fight, or how he did this one time. And like all these stories, he's like a legend, around here. And so like, to me, like, he was always, and still is, like, my hero. Like, he was this like Superman, type person. And so to me, that matters more, like you said, than the money or anything else. Like, I want to continue to pour into other people, but also into my kids, and be that person that, you know, whenever I go, hopefully it's a ways away, but whenever I go, like, that people tell my kids stories about how I helped them, or how I did this, or how I impacted this life or that life. And, you know, I think that's what legacy is all about. I want my kids to not just know how I treated them, but how I treated other people as well, and not hear stories that I was this shady person or an asshole or rude or, you know, whatever. Like, I want, you know, I think that goes a long way. And so legacy is the most important thing to me. Whether I continue to do coaching or, you know, I do, I've been throwing like one event a year or two, similar to Lee's. I'll throw another one this year. I'm going to have a lot of fighters there as well. I think fighters and fitness, and having like Todd Abrams, who's my partner on Icon Meals. He's the CEO and founder, talking about nutrition and working out and having a business side of it, I think is important, because one, it's going to attract a lot more people, but two, like, all the fitness, and, you know, Don will tell you the same thing. The fitness, the training, the discipline, the nutrition, like, all that carries over into business. Like, what you eat affects your mind state. Like, your discipline and training, your standards that you hold yourself to, like, everything. I mean, I use more analogies when I'm talking about business or anything else. I use more fitness related analogies than probably anything else, because it transfers over so much. And I think it helps people tremendously with understanding slow and steady growth and results, with understanding the mindset that you might go in there some days and fail, you know, a weight that you've done before. You're going to have some bad days in there. It's a struggle. You got to work every day when you, like, it all correlates to business so much. And so I think it's a consistency thing. It's not I'm going to go in there and, you know, I benched 315 a month ago, and now I've taken a month off. I'm going to go in there and do 405 today. No, it's a consistency thing, day in, day out, whether you're bulking up, cutting down, working on cardio, whatever it is. And it's the same thing with business. It's consistency. And you're not going to make one Facebook post and get 100,000 leads. It's consistency in building that brand. And so I think it just transfers over so much. You know, so I want to throw events that kind of correlate to everybody on a more frequent basis. Do some here in Atlanta, do some in Texas. And then I don't know. From there, you know, I want to continue to help people in some aspect, and then obviously I'm going to continue to work out in some way, shape, or form, whether it's, you know, for fighting or for anything in particular or not. You know, I don't know, but I love fitness, and I want to stay healthy as long as possible to be able to, you know, ride dirt bikes with the kids or work on the farm and do stuff around here. But I don't know. I like the coaching aspect too, because I can move around. If we're on vacation, I can still do it. If we go to Florida for a couple of weeks while the kids are out of school, I can still coach my clients while, you know, the kids and the wife are at the beach or at the pool or whatever. So I don't have to take away from them at all. So yeah, I don't know what's next, man. I'm always looking for new opportunities. You know, I partnered in the gym that I train at to help grow it. And I absolutely love it. But you know, I got people pitching me business ideas every day. So, not that I need them. I got a ton of different ideas, but for me now, it's a lot about the free time involved. I don't want to go start another roofing company and work the hours that I worked. Not that I could, if I lost everything, not that I wouldn't do it. But you know, like you said, with my kids, the time with my kids, going to eat lunch at the school with my kids, going on the field trips with my kids, doing all that kind of stuff. all that is super important to me. And being around my parents and taking care of my mom and my dad, and my dad's, he's battling cancer again. This is the seventh time. He's done beat it 6 times, and he's a fucking animal, dude. But yeah, I just want to enjoy life, help people, and be at peace. And but there will always be something I'm chasing. I don't know.
I think the day we stop chasing is the day it's over, right? We don't have anything left. There's no point.
I know I want to finish my book. I started writing a book. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through with it. I've already got the cover done and everything. So I do need to finish that and then get that out there. But, I love meeting people, good people. Like you said, in the roofing, there's a ton of good people, but there's a ton of bad apples too, which I think is another reason why I always try to do right by everyone. One, it's just who I am, but two, just to show other sales guys, other owners, customers that like, no, there's actually good people. Because you hear about roofers and the first thing you think is like shady, or you hear about mechanics and you hear shady, and it's like, they're not all that way. Like, don't let a couple bad apples ruin, the whole bunch. Like, there's some actually really, really phenomenal people in this industry, and people that I've met and people that I coach, and it's cool to see them change their lives, man, and have babies and get married and reach their goals and their dreams, and it's a lot of fun.
Hell yes, it is. I love every bit of it. And it's, I'm like you, my only purpose right now is I get a lot of younger people that call and ask me questions, and I don't have the level of success as far as, building bazillion-dollar companies, but I've been around and I know stuff and I've done it. And I tell people, anything I can do to help make our industry better, or to bring somebody up, or have them avoid an issue that I may have had down the way, or at some point, that's my only purpose at this stage. I could have got out of this a long time ago. I tried to get out of it a couple of times, and it brings me back because it's my thing and I love it. And I'm going to wrap up our podcast here with the multi-million-dollar question. Let's say, I always tell people, we have millions of people that watch Keepin It Rio, and that's me projecting into the future. In my vision, I've already got Joe Rogan down, and he's like looking up at me because I'm the best podcast in the world. But let's say that someone's watching our show right now and they're like, man, I'm inspired. As an 18, 19-year-old kid, like the guy that you're working with now, sees this and gets sparked, wants to follow you, wants to maybe reach out and say, hey, Todd, can you help me? What are some of the ways that people can follow and can get in contact with you and, potentially seek guidance and learn what they need to do to go the right way in life?
Yeah. So, my website's officialtoddprice.com. And that has links to my YouTube, my Facebook, my Instagram, everything. But my Facebook is just Todd Price. And then my Instagram is official Todd Price. But reach out to me on any of those, and I'll help however I can. I can go over training packages. I can go over answer questions, give advice. Don't do this, do that. Like, whatever I can do to help people, man, that's the biggest thing, because I truly want to see people succeed. You know what I mean? And there's the thing that really pisses me off. And, we kind of touched on this earlier, was that, like, when I had mentioned how you see these groups and everybody talks about, like, they don't do this, their company's perfect. They don't do this, their company's perfect. It's like, yeah, on social media, you try to act that way, but everybody's got faults. Everybody has a roof that leaks. Everybody has, whatever, somebody that goes rogue, whatever. It's part of business. It's the nature of the beast. And to pretend that you don't have anything is almost like pretending that you have 10,000 5-star reviews. Like, if you do that much work, you better have some 1-star reviews and negative reviews, or else it just shows that they're all fake and that you're not human. You know what I mean? Like, I remember the first 1-star review that I got, and I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And then now I'm like, okay, cool. We learn from it. Like, and I'll reach out and I'll make it right. And if it's something that was legit our fault, but I'm just like, all right, we learned from it. We don't do this again. This is what happened when you did this. And I'll sit down with the sales guy. But, there's a lot of people that try to pretend to be, I think, too perfect on social media. And, they're not, I don't know, confident enough in themselves to take constructive criticism or to learn from others, or they got to play this big guy role. And it's like, that's not how business works. Like the people at the top collaborate, you know what I mean? Like they help each other out. They brainstorm together. Like, even if we're competition, it's like, we're going to help each other, because the more we can help each other and grow together, we're not taking anything away from each other. We're just helping each other elevate our game to the next level. And same thing with if I'm working out with somebody and you're getting stronger than me, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to have to get stronger. Like, it's this, I got to keep up. So it's the same thing when you collaborate. And I feel like there's way too many people that talk poorly about other companies, that almost discourage. I see back to the people reaching out to me, I saw a post the other day that, somebody had mentioned, and I forget what it was in, hardcore door to door, or, sales talk with sales pro, one of the posts or pages that I'm an admin on. And like, it was a young kid. I think he said he was 19, 20, and was getting into roofing. And he was like, how important are door to door, and what's the best pitch, and what should I stay away from? Just asking a general question. And I mean, I remember the first door that I ever knocked, and I remember thinking, like, hold on now. So I'm going to go up to this house that people aren't expecting me at, randomly knock on their fucking door, and then try to sell them a roof that they haven't asked for. Like, and now 12, 30, however long it is now, like, I see a roof with missing shingles and the garage door open, and I'm out of the truck before it stops moving, So these new guys, they don't know. And I'm scrolling through the comments, and every comment is like, are you kidding? Like, this is a joke. Go read something. Go learn. Watch YouTube videos. Like, hit me up. Come work for my company. It sounds like your company's already let you down. And it's like, dude, it doesn't matter what company they work for, and none of that matters. Like, it's a matter of, them trying to reach out and learn something from people that have been in the industry. And there's a lot of people that don't want to help because they're intimidated. Like, I always helped everybody. And I mean, I would coach other people, give advice to other people in the office. Ray would even go help other people get roofs approved. Other companies in our same area that would have trouble, he would tell them, like, I'll go, and didn't charge them a dime, didn't split the roof with them, didn't know. He would just, if he could fit it in his schedule that day, he'd go help them with the adjuster meeting to get it approved. And people don't realize, like, it's so much better to collaborate and help one another, because you don't know when you're going to need that person, because they know more about something than you know. So just because they don't know door knocking doesn't mean they don't know finances or cash flow or the difference in shingles or this. They're just asking about door knocking. Like, and you're automatically assuming that they're a fucking idiot and don't know shit. And so I commented, and I was like, hey, bud, everybody on this page is just going to tell you to throw it in, pack it up, come work for them, do this, do that. I was like, there's a lot of different variables when door knocking. If you need help, please reach out to me, brother. I got you. And it's just, there's the negativity, man. And I remember years ago, I used to always tell people, it was funny because it was like, if you worked for a different roofing company than somebody else, it was like you were in two different gangs. It was
yeah, dude. I know about that. Trust me.
Holy cow. And I'm like, who cares, dude? Like, if that person's company is closer to their house and they want to work there, or the way it's set up and their W-2 or 1099 or, whatever it may be, and that works better for that person and their family and their life and their structure, then let them go be there. Like, why are you worried about it? You can still be friends with them and associate and help one another. But man, so many people, it was like we're in two different gangs. And I'm like, I just don't get it, dude. Like I would always hang out with everybody and try to shoot the shit and help everybody. So
life's a lot better that way. And I try to do the same. I try to be cool with as many people as I can. And I know no matter what you do, there's going to be some people that just, they look at you and they say, whatever, you suck. I don't like you. You're trying too hard or whatever. The reality is it's insecurity on their part. And I learned to stop giving a crap about it.
They can do. I get it all the time. It's always from fake accounts. Obviously, they won't come out to who they really are. But and I just laugh. I'm like, okay, like you're hating, and I'm sitting at home, retired with my wife and kids, and at 40 years old, loving life. Like,
yeah, so, who's really winning here, guys? And
I don't care.
That's the beautiful thing, man. And being able to do that is awesome. And I'll say this, Todd, I respect the shit out of you, my friend. You are a inspiration, someone I've looked up to for many years. You put an event on in Texas, my ass is coming to it. So I will see you at some point in the not too distant future. We're going to shake hands and take a little bit better selfie than the last one. Cause I had a little weird look on my face. So we took our last picture. So that's my little list check thing that I got to do is I got to get a better selfie.
I'll bring another videographer with us and I'll make sure we get plenty.
I love it, my friend. Before I bid adieu to the crowd, this is the last thing I do every episode. It's my favorite thing. Got to give props to my sponsors over at roofer.com. Roofer is the all-inclusive software program for roofing companies from beginning to end, initial contact to final payment and follow-up for many years to come. Just got my 4th year of sponsorship with Roofer. And I'm super proud because today is the 31st of January and we're doing this tomorrow. My company, Rio Blanco Roofing, for February 2026 is the Roofer of the Month. So I couldn't be more proud about that. That's something that we take a lot of pride in. And myself and my partners, we love Roofer. And if you're not using Roofer by now, I don't know what to tell you because I've said it for like 200 straight episodes. Roofer is the bomb. So use it. And before we go, the final thing I like to say, Todd, stick around for just a minute after I shut this off and we'll finish our conversation. But like I always say, folks, till next time, remember the cheesy, corny tagline, the biggest, best one of them all. Keep on keeping it Rio. And I'll see you guys next week for episode 248. 247 definitely is up there as maybe one of the top 2 or 3 that I've ever done. So thank you for your time, my friend. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
All right, folks. We'll see y'all next week. Later on.